Movement, peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq hollering at you one more again. All right, we're going to dive right into it on this one. We're going to call this Killer 5G update, right? So, listen, this 5G technology is something that even the great Dr. Blair had warned us about years and years ago, right? These low vibrational frequency modulation technologies that use these very short, choppy millimeter waves, right, that are very harmful. And also the premise of that whole, the basis of that technology, should I say, it's not a premise because it's an actual technology they're utilizing, it gets eerily and disturbingly into dealing with the frequency on which human beings operate on an electromagnetic level, right? Once again, folks, for those who may not have seen some of the earlier videos that I discussed that, human beings emit an electromagnetic signal, if you want to say that, or rather a field is actually a better term. An electromagnetic field that in itself has its own vibrational frequency, right? And the fact that it is very unique, you could say, is your unique signature or signal, right? Okay. So basically, this technology is capable of matching or I guess matching is probably the best, or tuning to, it might be a better way of stating it. Hey, peace, love, respect. All right. Yeah, so quite honestly, a better way of putting it is probably tuning to an individual or a group's electromagnetic frequency, right? The frequency of their electromagnetic field. Now, why that's disturbing is because if you're able to do that with any signal emitting technology, then you're able to send to and emit a signal directly to someone's mind, right? Because you're on the same frequency. You're on their electromagnetic frequency. Now, here's where it gets really nefarious, right? Here's where it gets ugly and evil, right? They, when I say they, I'm speaking of the really shady, medical organizations and groups that work with and for the socio-economic elite. The CDC, in my opinion, not being excluded from that group, particularly and factually so if you go back and look at their speckled past, right? It goes very deep in American history and the things that they've done and facilitated to happen right here in the U.S., right? You know, and you know, I don't have to start getting back into how the medical history in this country is shady to sugarcoat it, right? You know, start talking about the Tuskegee experiment and things of that nature. So I'm not even going to go there at the moment. Let's just say that those same groups are the same groups who are responsible, unfortunately, for mapping or matching the vibrational frequency of many diseases. Right? Okay, now what are you talking about, King Sadiq? So, when your body is experiencing the symptoms of any specific disease, your body at that time is vibrating at a frequency that is matching that particular disease. What are you talking about, King Sadiq? Disease doesn't have a frequency. Everything has a vibrational frequency. Everything exists in both particle and wave form. I know I'm starting to touch a teeny bit into quantum physics, and I'm not trying to get too scientifically technical for folks, but I need you to understand that nothing, even though it appears to be completely at rest, you walk down the street, you look down at the street, what are you talking about? The street's completely still, it's concrete, it's still. Well, no, if you were able to take a microscope, right, and zero in and look at it at a microscopic level, you would see there is activity there, right? There's movement, there's vibration, right? And that happens in a particular frequency, meaning that those vibrations happen in intervals, right? Or you can gauge or measure them in intervals of time. That's how you get a frequency, how frequent something vibrates in a given time interval. All right. It's just important to understand that because you can't get away from that. You know, these diseases have a specific vibrational frequency. Call it a vibrational frequency signal, right? Or signature, if that's better for you, better terminology. So each of these diseases has its own vibrational frequency signature, right? So because of that, they have, through these health organizations that are manipulated by the socio-economic elite, they have been able to successfully map and match, or rather, they have successfully duplicated the vibrational frequency signature of many diseases, right? Now, here's where it gets really dark and interesting in a negative way. A human being's body, a person's body, essentially does not know the difference between what stimuli is sending it the signal to then be at a lower vibrational frequency, specifically one that matches the vibrational frequency signature of a specific disease. Doesn't know the difference between whether that stimuli is viral, right? Or if it is bacterial, or if it is even sonic, right? You can send a vibrational frequency signal that is at the exact frequency signature of a disease to a human being, right? Particularly if you've already mapped or matched that human being's vibrational frequency signature themselves. Now, bad enough, yes, that they have these diseases matched, right, in terms of their vibrational frequency signature, but they have your vibrational frequency signature. You give them all the data they need through your devices. And the commercials now brag about it. How many commercials do you see these days I was just watching the commercial where they talk about, oh, wouldn't it be great if there was a watch or a phone that could now do an EKG while you're sleeping. And they said, oh, well, we already have that. And then all these other different metrics and data that's collected by these devices, they brag about the fact that they capture this, right? And you readily give it up all the time. Not to mention all the permissions that you give when you just go and click and accept on these terms and conditions for all these little apps and things, right? It's a dirty game, y'all. I hate to, it's the truth. Sadly, that, these corporations that are the tentacles of the socio-economic elite have unfortunately wormed their way into our lives in such an intricate manner that it's not easily detached from, right? So yeah, unfortunately, the devices that you depend on and utilize daily provide all the data that is necessary for them to completely map and have your unique vibrational frequency signature. And with that signature, the technology that they're utilizing, this 5G technology, unfortunately, gives them the ability to send that vibrational frequency signature signal directly to you, right? And again, think about all the technology that you depend on, that you rely on a daily basis, and that is growing every day, right? Think of how much of that technology has gotten quote unquote smarter and smarter. How much of that is connected to the cloud, right? How much of that is constantly streaming data that is giving them essentially an avatar of you that they not only use to predict your behavior patterns, your thought patterns, your purchasing patterns, right? But they also now, unfortunately, have the capability of sending these signals to you. And we're watching them erect these 5G towers right in front of our faces and put themselves in the position to use the technology. I mean, really, think about how hard would it be for them to do that. We give them all the access to us that they need. Now, if you think again, never take what I'm saying, or what anybody's saying for that matter, as fact and just run with it. Look into it yourself. My job is just to bring it up to you, right? At least somebody brought it up to you so that you could look into it yourself and see whether, what the deal is on the factual basis for yourself and develop your own truth. But as far as what I can see, the harmful, negative, destructive, downright evil intentions that these corporations have and the capabilities that they have using these 5G networks and these devices that are now these 5G devices is beyond evil, nefarious, low vibrational frequency, all that. It's just, it's ugly. It's ugly, right? So we can't continue to just be comfortable and laissez-faire as we continue to supply everything that they need to to put this stuff into effect, right? I'm downtown Pittsburgh telling people, look, they put these 5G tires up right in front of your face. I'm going right on the spot, talking to the technicians that are putting them up. You know, a couple of them pretty much came real about it and was like, yeah, this is, you know, I'm sorry, man, I don't even kind of want to be doing it, but I'm feeding my family, you know, and this is the position that these elites put us in so masterfully with their manipulation, right? They know that they keep all of us in this rat race, running on this hamster wheel, afraid to death of losing the lifestyle that we're trying and struggling so hard to provide for our families. And I don't blame people. I mean, people work hard to try to make a living for themselves, and it all really ends up going to the benefit of these elites. And they set us up for it so masterfully, it's disgusting. It really is. You know, if you want to look at it and sort of objectively grade it and how efficiently and effectively they pull it off, okay, you can have some admiration, I guess, on that level. But if you want to think about it in terms of a humane level or some level of compassion or some level of ethical accountability, right? You know, we have let folks get into power who are void of those things, right? People who are sociopaths, essentially. We have let a bunch of sociopaths become the wealthiest, most powerful people on the planet. The kind of folks, you know, who would be those dark figures in suits and expensive dresses and jewelry in the shadows in movies like Hostel and things of that nature, right? And we just go and watch the movie and, you know, oh, it's kind of scary, it's shady, it's whatever, it's entertainment. And unfortunately, there's stuff like that really going on. And those are the same kind of individuals who are the heads of these corporations who are deploying all this stuff. No wonder they're putting deadly killer technology and exposing the public to it. That's how they get down, essentially, right? It's what they're into. That's their vibe. The lowest vibrational frequencies that you could get, right? We're not talking about healthy individuals mentally or spiritually, right? But again, unfortunately, we've been lulled to sleep largely by materialism, right? That's how they pacify us. They give us little upgrades. They even say it. They even come around right out and say it. Time for an upgrade, right? You get your new phone, or you upgrade that chain, you upgrade your whip, your car, you know. You get your upgrade. Some people get, sad to say, what they call to be an upgrading spouse. You dump your old wife and get you a quote-unquote sexier wife or sexier husband. You dig? I mean, the lifestyle, the society that we have built, or that we have allowed them to steer us into building. Because again, they couldn't have done any of this without the energy and the intention of the collective. So this is why social engineering has been so important, right? They've had to constantly keep our minds and our intention, our energy, controlled and manipulated to their agenda, right? Which is certainly very myopic, to say the least. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with. And unfortunately, this 5G technology, now think about the context of what we're going through right now, and the fact that with that 5G technology, right, and the advent of all this AI, which is vastly, exponentially increasing inter-device communication, right? Think about the implications of all that. The fact that they can essentially send a disease signal, so to speak, to you through these devices. You know, especially if they're quote unquote 5G devices and they're on that kind of a network, right? Using that technology, that signal, those very destructive millimeter waves, right? And you know, when I'm breaking this stuff down and talking about the kind of waves they're using and all that, I'm giving a very vanilla explanation of the technology that they're utilizing. You can look more into that for yourself, and I have every confidence that you'll find nothing but verification of its harmful nature, right, and its nefarious capabilities. And unfortunately, they're bragging about how they're rolling it out nationwide, and they sure are, right? But again, this is ultimately something that's going to fail. Let's look, look, look. Listen, I'm laughing because, oh man, I'm laughing because if you're a negative network, low vibrational type cat, you might have been looking at this video like, yeah, we winning, man. Yeah, we gonna get them. We got the 5G on their ass. Yeah, right? Excuse my language. Pardon me. But yeah, it's not going to work. I'm not saying this stuff is going to work. But part of us dismantling these efforts is talking about them as they continue to try and roll them out, right? Making sure that we're making everybody as aware as possible, so that those of us who choose freedom, right? Those of us who choose sovereignty, right? Those of us who choose to protect ourselves, to protect our energy, to protect our frequency, our minds, our soul layers, our spiritual energy, to protect our families and our loved ones, right, from those who have negative intentions on large scale basis, right? So as we move to do that, a big part of that is continuing to spread the awareness of these negative actions and activities. Remember, I and many others have talked a lot about how 2020 is all about exposing this stuff, right? We have to expose it so that we can process it, deal with it, and move past it, and adopt policy and actions, and ultimately institutions that are of a high vibrational frequency nature, that are good intending, right? You know, we have to position ourselves to be able to do that. And that starts with the work of spreading this awareness, and then taking up the action to do something about it, right? And I always mean peaceful action, but peaceful action is just that, it's action. It's not staying peaceful by staying silent and staying passive. Be active, say no, and go from there, right? Peacefully, but say no and go from there. All right? Hey man, I think we did it one more time. We kept it moving. What's that? You know. Woo! Worldwide movement. Peace, love, respect. Big King Sadiq. I'm out.